Hi, it's us again from the UK, where for some reason the sun's actually out today. Surprise, surprise. All nice to see it. More resources for you guys to use, and it's great to see that the number of subscribers is going up. The views are going up exponentially. We would like more subscribers, so please spread the word if you think our resources are any use, and ask your friends to access the YouTube channel and or subscribe. Now, here we go. 4.1 Introduction to Marketing. Enjoy. As with any new unit, you always start with definitions. So make sure you understand what marketing actually is. Now, here from the UK, I've got the Chartered Institute of Marketing definition. You find several definitions out there, but anyone which is recognized by any kind of authority, please make sure these are in your notes. But essentially, I find this one the most useful one to use with students, irrespective in the UK or not in the UK. And it's the process of anticipating satisfying customer needs profitably, which to me sums up marketing in a nutshell. Think about what consumers want before they realize they want it. Go back to the early days of iPhones. Okay. Provide it before they think about it. Okay. Satisfying profitably. What do they actually want now? Providing what they know they want. So try and look in advance with products you think which will work. Look at the way technology is developing in particular. Also look about what people want now, and you're looking to make money. So that essentially is marketing. Again, with introduction to units terminology, make sure you are comfortable with marketing versus product orientation. Now, if you're product orientating, the product sells itself. So think about products with very strong brand identity. Companies tend to have fairly minimal marketing. So again, it saves them lots of money. The brand is so strong, they produce a product and people will buy that product. They rely on the brand identity to sell the products. Again, that could go back to iPhones. This could be BMW, Porsche, Mercedes, etc. You think about the brand name, you automatically have associations with quality, style, etc. So look at the amount of marketing promotion activities carried out by these firms, and hence the money they save on not having to, because they've spent a long time developing the brand. And the question is, does supply create demand? This is the idea about anticipating. They produce a product and you buy it because you think you have to buy it. It's fashionable to have it, everybody else is buying it. Now, versus customer orientated markets, you tend to be in a more competitive situation. So brand identity, lower in terms of strengths, easier to access the market, lots of choice for consumers. So you're going to have to go through the process of market research, find out what consumers actually want. Is there some way you can enter that market? There may be people producing the products. Can you offer the products from a slightly different angle with slightly different service levels? So think about gaps in the market. So you need to target needs to sell. So cost, accuracy, and time of research. This is where you need to research markets, understand your market totally. So product orientated, you tend to be established businesses with very strong brand identity with relatively low competition levels, whereas customer orientated, more competitive market. So therefore the research process, you are looking to satisfy current needs, looking to see how you can change those current needs to your own purposes, and perhaps therefore move towards a product orientated approach if you come up with a new way of doing something. Now let's move on to considering market orientated and product orientated in slightly more detail. You need to think about the advantages, drawbacks, issues, threats, opportunities, etc. If you're market orientated, there's a cost involved. Why is the research? The market research has to be ongoing. It's a constant loop. The market is constantly changing. Look what's happening out there. Go back to your steeple. Trump with his tariffs. The market is constantly changing. So if you're market orientated in particular, right, and it's a volatile market, there's a constant loop. So you're investing in market research. How's that going to impact you? If you're market orientated business, will it impact you more than a product orientated business? So there's a constant need to change because, again, you're in a competitive market, and that market is potentially volatile because it's so competitive. New competitors coming in constantly. That gives you the need to change and the levels of uncertainty you're going to face. So you have to be a fairly dynamic business, looking to constantly change, looking to constantly research the market, constantly carrying out your environmental analysis, your SWOT analysis, etc. But what do you actually do? Is it relatively low risk? Okay, does it provide you flexibility? Okay, you can actually change. Once you're an established product, BMW have that established brand. How can you actually change what they are? Do you need to change what you are? And obviously think about the levels of competition. When you're considering your product orientated businesses, think about the level of risk. Whilst you may have this exceptionally strong brand identity, standing still for most businesses is potentially an issue. There will be someone looking to basically enter your market if you're highly profitable. Now look at the way markets become saturated. Virtually globally, everybody wants an iPhone, a cell phone, a mobile phone, has one. So you have to innovate away from products. Apple are moving into financial services in a large way. They're also looking at cloud, selling cloud space. So again, you have to look, even with a product orientated business, this level of risk. It's a lower level of risk due to lower level of competition and strong brand identity generally. But still a level of risk. If you stand still, somebody could basically go past you. So think about the cost maintaining your brand. Look about quality control. Cars start begin to crash if you one of the premium producers. Mistakes start to happen. Okay, quality deteriorates. You change suppliers. All of this could hit your brand identity, and if you rely on that brand identity, you've got a problem. So you have a strength. Is it a strength? Well, yes, it is, but you have to develop that strength and protect that strength. You have to change. Levels of change generally is lower. But again, you do have to look for change. Now, historically, if you go back in the UK, the first mobile cell phone providers were BlackBerry. Everybody had BlackBerries for work. On the move, you could email, etc., etc. They were excellent. They were like small laptop computers in your hand. First iPhones were fairly low quality, but Apple soon innovated and basically went past the use of apps. In the early days, Apple opened up their system to coders so people could actually design apps and bombard Apple with app designs, and Apple basically decided what they wanted to buy. Then suddenly you had these updated iPhones, had all these really useful apps on. What did BlackBerry do? Nothing. Now, if you see BlackBerry in the UK now, it's very, very limited. They've gone backwards. They were the market leader, but they failed to innovate. So yes, you have to change. Yes, you have to look at your environment. You have to maintain your quality, but your quality, think about innovation. It's anticipating those needs. How is the technology changing? Apple looked at the idea of apps and how people look in convenience. Basically, they shot ahead in the marketplace. A couple of basic calculations, stroke terminology coming up. You need to know what market share is, and that's fairly straightforward here from the slide. Again, how you calculate it. What tends to cause a problem, it's how you measure. It's measured by volume or value. Depending on a market, it could be the number of units which have been sold, or it could be the total value of the market. Now, supermarkets in the UK, you can find statistics to give you the total value of the supermarket sector in UK monetary terms. So therefore, you're looking at your money value of sales. If you produce physical units of something, there'll be figures out there that say the total market last year was arguably 1.6 million units. How many units have you produced to work out your market share? So this is relatively straightforward, but make sure you understand the difference that market share could be volume or value as potential ambush in an exam question, and what that actually means in terms of products or services. Now, market share, HL only. You need to be able to go forward and evaluate. Now, why market share is important? Why do firms have market share as an objective? Once you capture market share, you can develop purchasing economies of scale. Now, what does that mean? Bulk buying discounts. So you can drive down your costs. You drive down your purchase costs for stock. That enables you to increase your profit margins. But also at the same time, okay, you may not wish to basically maintain the same profit margin, but run promotional campaigns on certain of your products. Get people through the doors. You're in a competitive market. You're market orientated. So you need, say, price is a driving factor in your market. If you are reducing your purchase costs, your stock purchase costs, okay, cut your prices. Cut your prices, that could drive further market share. Now look at your own situation wherever you are in the world, at some of the large stores. Now from a European perspective, Aldi, Lidl from Germany, they've entered the UK market and they've come into what was, to use economics, an oligopoly. There are a small number of large firms that control the supermarket sector in the UK. Now, Aldi Lidl have revolutionised it and made it far more competitive. And they've captured rapid market share, which has allowed them to drive further forward, offer further promotions, and basically innovate their product range. Now, so again, the increased market share, again, leads through. So think about the loop. Keep on capturing market share. But what's the cost of market share? Is that your primary goal? Will it automatically lead to higher profitability? Think about short term, long term, medium term. It may take you time to drive your profits. Once you capture the share, once you drive down your costs, competitive market, developing your brand, okay, developing that customer loyalty to get people through the door. Okay, think about time spans, to have the whole process through to profitability. Market share and market leadership could fit together, okay, or stand as two separate items. Now, market share does not necessarily mean you are the market leader. If you have the highest market share, you have be the market leader. But if you are a market leader, okay, what will happen is you have influence. Influence is driving the market in terms of, promotional activities. Now, there's a cost of living crisis at the moment in the UK. So, yes, the supermarket sector is more competitive, but Tesco's, one of the brands, tends to be the market leader. So they lead in terms of promotional activities, loyalty cards, store cards. When you had the economic hit from the Russian invasion of Ukraine, rampant inflation, Tesco's introduced store card prices, so you had to have one of their loyalty cards, and you could cut your weekly shopping costs dramatically because they often very large discounts on products each week, which they change constantly. What happened? The other supermarket shops, basically followed suit. So you can set the agenda if you are the market leader. This also provides you with first mover advantage. If everybody follows you, is that strategically in your interest? Okay, so getting there first mover advantage provides you with the advantage to build market share. Market share, look at your time span, profitability. Now, as the market leader, you can create brand identity as well. Brand identity equals customer loyalty, equals increased sales, equals increased profits. However, if you become too large, that could lead to regulation action by governments. Going back some time ago now, Microsoft, at one stage, the US government were looking at launching actions potentially to break them up because they had anti-competitive practices, because everybody at the time was having to basically buy Windows as an operating system, and they were blocking other internet browsers. Now, this was several years ago, but they backed off once the US government began an investigation, and which could have led to their breakup. So look about the drawbacks of market leadership as well. Market leadership, great, wonderful, gives you strategic advantage, drives your profits, drives your sales, allows you to dictate the pace of the market potentially. Same idea with market share. Okay, economies of scale, purchasing economies of scale, drive down your purchase costs, feeds through into profit margins and the opportunity to offer promotional discounts to build further market share. Become the market leader. Should be profitability. Does it necessarily work? Is it always a positive? Again, we hope this has been useful, and please, as ever, when we finish off, the word is keep on looking at the channel. There'll be more things coming along to help you out. Good luck.